God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege. This is the Protege program. Welcome back on this lovely Wednesday. I'm back in the office, back to recording videos. It seems like it's been a long time since I sat down and did one of these, so I might be a little bit rusty, but I know that you're going to enjoy this. I know that we're talking about the important issues. These are things that need to be discussed. Sometimes I wish that it didn't have to be discussed. This feels like one of those Russian collusion drama stories. In my opinion, there's no new news here. The only thing that's new about this story is we're allegedly getting Bannon's real opinions about some of the things that happened with regards to Russian collusion. And really, I think we're getting secondhand reactions, even reactions that are happening after Bannon has been fired. I can't say for sure when this interview that Bannon is being quoted from has taken place. This is the closest thing that you guys will be getting to a first-hand reaction to this story, because I haven't even read the whole thing. I don't believe a lot of it. I would like to err on the side of the president and err on the side of, this is a person who is, can be perceived as a disgruntled ex-employee who's fired against his will, released before he felt his time with the organization was up. And so Bannon does have that element of his existence that he can't get away from. He is a disgruntled ex-employee. He was fired from the Trump White House. He just can't get away from that. So some of these comments, most of these comments most likely, must be interpreted through that lens. So that being said, let's get into some of the things here that Steve is alleged to have said in this book. The book will be referenced a few times, so it's worth noting here that the book is called Fire and Fury, and the author is one Michael Wolff. So in this first paragraph, we get a brief description of Steve as Donald Trump's former chief strategist, and he's quoted as saying of a meeting between Don Jr. and a couple of other members of the campaign, and not a group of Russians. From what I understand, it was one Russian, and she claimed to have dirt on Hillary Clinton. And he called the meeting treasonous and unpatriotic, according to this book, Fire and Fury. Now, remember, I think we've talked about this meeting previously. I know I've heard a lot about it, so maybe I'm just thinking that I talked about it, but maybe not. Just in case you don't know or have forgotten, there was a meeting that happened back in June of 2016. It took place in Trump Tower, and the people that were in the meeting were Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, I think Paul Manafort was there, and there was a female who was Russian who had told Donald Jr. before the meeting took place that she had dirt on Hillary Clinton. We're going to see what that dirt exactly was later in this column, but that was the meeting. The way that the meeting went was the Russian woman walked into the room, started talking about something that she hadn't told the members of the meeting that she was going to talk about, and so she was asked to leave after a few minutes. That's the nature of the meeting. Nothing was actually decided upon. No course of action was planned to be taken as a result of the meeting. You might even be able to say that the meeting was counterproductive in the Russian collusion narrative. The meeting actually points to individuals being dissatisfied with working with people who allegedly had ties to the leadership in Russia. This meeting would seem to point to individuals, the individuals that were in the meeting and part of the Trump campaign being less likely to work with Russian officials in the future. Yet this meeting, according to Bannon, was treasonous and unpatriotic. Okay, whatever. Let's see what we have next. Bannon, according to the author, warned, so that makes me think that the way that this is being written makes it look like Bannon was making a prediction. Whoever he made the warning to, I guess, would be irrelevant. If he's making a prediction, he's making a prediction. And the prediction would be that the investigation into collusion with the Kremlin will focus on money laundering, and predicted that they're going to crack Don Jr. like an egg on national television. Well, only one of those two has actually happened. I think it was Paul Manafort again, and somebody else that was in the Trump campaign are being indicted for failing to fill out some financial disclosure forms to the fullest extent of truth, I guess. The Manafort and the other individual worked in a Ukrainian thing as for propaganda purposes. The nature of their work is not terribly important. What is important is that they were paid by Ukrainians to do some dealing related to Russia, and they didn't fill out the proper disclosure forms to tell, I guess, the public about those dealings. That's what they've been indicted on. I think there's some money laundering in there, that they were paid and they moved that money around in such a way to obscure where the money came from. So that much has happened. But Don Jr. hasn't been cracked like an egg on national television, to my knowledge, so that one is still wrong. On his predictions, Bannon is already failing. He's 50-50. On his statements that have so far been quoted in this article, he's even worse. He's 33%. So let's skip on down. We have a brief description of the book. We have a brief description of Bannon's operations in the Trump White House. And he's quoted extensively, and they say it's often in salty language. And when someone is salty, let me explain the word salty, just in case I have any individuals that aren't as internet savvy as some of my other viewers might be. The word salty, when used, especially on the internet, pertains to someone who is irrationally lashing out in anger at someone. The word salty, I believe, originated in video gaming. Whenever you suffer a setback in a competitive video game, there's a tendency to lash out, especially against the people that you perceive as having hurt your perspectives at the video game. So you lash out, you call them all kinds of names, you say mean things about them, you even usually say things that are inaccurate about them, and that's called being salty. I don't want to do a software update. Samsung, remind me later. So when Bannon is called salty, especially by The Guardian, it seems strange that The Guardian would be calling Bannon salty in this article, especially considering that they don't like Trump very much. To say that Bannon is salty is to say that he's irrationally angry, is to say that the statements that he's making may be irrational, may even be incorrect. So it seems like a strange moment of clarity for The Guardian to be calling him salty in this way. Now, here's where they do a little bit more describing of the meeting between... Okay, so I got the attendees right. It was Don Jr., Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort, and this Russian dame. Apparently her name is... I've never seen her name before. Natalia Veselnitskaya. Veselnitskaya. I think that's how it's pronounced. I kind of like it. At Trump Tower in New York, it was in June 2016. A trusted intermediary, so that's a person that's between Natalia and Don Jr., who's told Don Jr. that Natalia would have documents that would incriminate Hillary Clinton. Now, that's interesting, that the documentation is supposed to incriminate Hillary Clinton. This isn't just opposition research anymore. This is investigation into criminal activity that's being described by this intermediary. And what does The Guardian have to say about this documentation? Instead of alerting the FBI to a potential assault on American democracy by a foreign power, Trump Jr. replied in an email, "I love it." So The Guardian doesn't care that Natalia potentially had the most damaging of information on a political opponent. The kind of things that, Hillary Clinton was looking for when her campaign hired Christopher Steele to write the Russia dossier. Opposition research. This is opposition research that's happening here, and The Guardian calls it an assault on American democracy by a foreign power. The meeting was revealed by the New York Times in July last year, prompting Trump Jr. to say no consequential material was produced. Soon after, Wolf writes, Bannon remarked, the three senior guys in the campaign thought it was a good idea to meet with foreign government inside Trump Tower in a conference room on the 24th floor with no lawyers. They didn't have any lawyers. Okay. Natalia was not with the Russian government. They didn't say anything in this paragraph about her being with the Russian government. So as far as The Guardian has conveyed to me, Natalia Veselnitskaya is not an agent of the Republican government. So again, that's strike 3 for Bannon here. That's 3 of 4 statements that were incorrect. That she was just a lawyer from Russia. That she had documents that were alleged to incriminate Hillary Clinton, which The Guardian didn't care about, by the way, whether or not that information actually existed. And Bannon gets it wrong. Bannon thinks that this woman was a member of a foreign government, which she's not. He seems to have swallowed the pill that the mainstream media, who he is on record as thinking of as the enemy, is selling. Bannon has apparently swallowed the blue pill on this. Bannon went on to say that if any such meeting had to take place, it should be set up in a Holiday Inn in Manchester with your lawyers who meet with these people. Any information could then be dumped down to, I guess that's, or some other legitimate publication. Bannon added, you never see it, you never know it, because you don't need to, but that's the brain trust that they had. So Bannon has really, has either really swallowed the pill and actually believes that Natalia was a Russian agent and that the information that she had had nothing to do with Hillary Clinton, because otherwise he would have said dump it to the FBI. But he says dump it to a legitimate publication, so he thinks she had nothing, but that she did work for the Russian government. And he thinks that this meeting should have taken place in a more clandestine way. So he almost seems to me to be pulling the string from both ends in that regard. Now, again, I think that this is drama-type stuff, and I think that there is a simple explanation for it, and that is that Bannon is butthurt about being cut off from the Trump administration. Remember, Bannon wants to play kingmaker. It's why he got involved in the 2016 race. It's why he picked Roy Moore after the... Was it after the primary of that Alabama special election? I don't remember. But Bannon picked Roy Moore in the Alabama election because he wants to play kingmaker over the establishment. And he's mad that he can't do it from the White House because he's been kicked out by Trump. And so now that he has an opportunity to vent a little bit, it seems to me that he's doing exactly that. Now, President Trump has responded to these alleged quotes that are in this book in an official statement, and that statement I have read from Twitchy. It looks like I'm going to not have it available to you, though, which is very disappointing to me. I was looking forward to reading that to you. But one of the opening lines of the quote is, when he was fired, he not only lost his job, he lost his mind. Now, I'd highly recommend going and reading that statement. I apologize for not having it. Sincerely did not mean to do that. But Trump's response, if you will allow me to sum it up for you, and I hope that you will because I don't have the quote. Trump's response is scorched earth. He's done with Bannon. If he ever had any friendship, professional friendship with Bannon up to this point, he no longer has it. I guarantee you Bannon is going to be saying things in the near future about Trump becoming tainted by the swamp. Trump is becoming the establishment. Bannon wants to play kingmaker, so he's going to try now and begin to whittle away at Trump. And when the election comes up in 2018, assuming that something doesn't happen to patch up this relationship, Bannon is going to pick a Republican primary candidate to try and run against Trump. That's just what I think is going on right now. Based on the past year or so, based on Bannon's actions leading up to this moment, based on the firing of Bannon by the Trump White House, that's the direction that it looks like this is going. This is going to do nothing to the Russia investigation, except for provide the media with some things to say on the nightly news segments so that they can keep pushing Russia, keep pushing collusion, keep pushing this garbage, of which there is still no proof. The quotes by Bannon from this book that we've read so far demonstrate no proof. If you'd like to go and read that Guardian article, there's the title. Again, The Guardian, Google search, The Guardian, Trump Tower meeting, or I'll do you one better. If you trump these keywords here that are after the /03, you'll have a better time finding it. Donald Trump, Russia, Steve Bannon, Michael Wolff. Go read the rest of that column if you'd like to. Please tell me if there's anything more substantive than we've just read. Because thus far I don't see any point in continuing to go on, but I will gladly come back if someone can point out to me where I've gone wrong with this analysis. That's going to be all for now, though. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. You won't want to miss these future videos. The news cycle is picking back up. There will be more videos. I hope that I can even get to a point where I'm doing a couple of videos a day. I would like to be able to upload more than I'm doing right now. But stay tuned. There will be more to come. The news cycle never stops. Again, thank you for watching. Until next time, good night and God bless.